Hello, it's nice to see you again. If we haven't met before, my name is Denise. I'm a literature and writing student. I love to talk about books. I love to read books. I'm all about books. I've compiled a list of books that are popular on booktok. I know a lot of the most popular booktok books like Song of Achilles and Shadow and Bone, but I feel like I'm in a more specific small audience where we talk a lot about unhinged women and this girl boss genre, if you will. I thought it would be interesting if we would go through it together and tier rank them. Fun fact about me is that I'm not the brightest bulb in the set. I screen recorded this and then it didn't work. I was recording the wrong screen. So here we go again. We got this. Here is the ranking that I have so far. The uppermost option is completes my soul, because sometimes it feels like an author carved into my chest, pulled out my heart, analyzed its contents, and then put it back onto a piece of paper for me to read. The one below that is I enjoy being sad, because it is a true statement. I do in fact enjoy being sad. There's I liked it, but it didn't change my life. Sometimes a book is just a book and it's fun to read. Mediocre speaks for itself. So does Please Don't Crucify Me. And Why Is This Here? Okay, that was an accident. I apologize. But the lowest option is convinced me that I could be an author, because how did this get published? So without further ado, let's just get into it. The first one we have is One of Us is Lying, and we're starting off with a strong opinion. I did not enjoy this book. I read it when I was 14. It was newly out. I wasn't even super influenced by others' opinions, where it was strongly recommended by others. It was only a couple months after the release that I got it. I didn't like it. I thought it was really predictable. It just didn't stick with me. Next up we have Shadow and Bone, and this is also a tough one. I liked it, but it didn't change my life. I did enjoy reading it when I read it, but then I read Siege and Storm. I think that's what it's called. I could totally be wrong. And I thought that was really boring and I couldn't get through the rest of the series. Maybe I'll come back to it one day. But for now, I'm gonna have to put it under mediocre. Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. I think I'm gonna put it under I liked it, but it didn't change my life. I did enjoy being sad while reading it, but after I read it, I didn't really think much of it. It wasn't super impactful, for me at least. I read A Darker Shade of Magic. It was a couple years ago. I really enjoyed it while I was reading it, but looking back, I probably would not like it as much if I reread it, so I'm gonna put it under mediocre. It was good. I'm not a huge fantasy fan, but I did like that one. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So we're getting the bad ones straight off out of the way. Please Don't Crucify Me. I feel like a lot of the YA mystery / suspense genre overuses the same tropes, and I know it's really hard, especially with the 36 plots that you have in books. I think that's what the number was, that are constantly being reused over and over again. But I don't know, maybe I watched too much Pretty Little Liars growing up. I feel like every trope that existed in that show, every plot twist shows up in a YA mystery novel. I just found this really predictable. 50 pages in, I texted my friend. I was like, I think this is gonna happen. And at the end, it was true. It did happen. All the Bright Places. Now, this is really hard. Really, really hard. I read this a couple years ago. This has been popular for a long time. When I was 14, this was my entire personality. I've reread it a couple of times, but I haven't read it in a long time since. I think that if I reread it, I would probably not like it that much. I think the movie was better, in my opinion, which I don't say very often. I'm gonna put it under mediocre. Conversations with Friends. I already know where this is going. Or is it I Enjoy Being Sad? This is hard. I'm a huge Sally Rooney fan. I'm gonna put it under I Enjoy Being Sad for now. This might change. Daisy Jones and the Six. This is hard. I feel like I'm missing. I'm gonna put it under I liked it, but it didn't change my life. I love this book. I've recommended it to so many people, but it's not really as sad or as soul-wrenching as I would like my novels to be. Yeah, but I really want to read other works by Taylor Jenkins Reid because she is very popular. Heartless. Also, I read this when I was 14. 14-year-old Denise and booktok are long-lost lovers. They are the right person, wrong time trope in real life. So I think I'm gonna have to put it under mediocre. I really didn't like this when I read it. I think part of that was internalized misogyny. I just really hated the main character. There's not much else to say. Next up, we have House of Salt and Sorrows. This was recommended by a friend. I enjoyed reading it. but nothing stuck with me. It was also during exam season, so I was really stressed out. I think I'm gonna put it under either mediocre, I liked it, but it didn't change my life. I think under mediocre. Like, it was a good book, but it didn't really stick with me. I don't remember anything that happens in it. Something about the 12 dancing princesses or something like that. I don't know. My year of rest and relaxation, I think I'm gonna put it under I enjoy being sad. When I read the synopsis for the first time, my individuality complex just broke. I have never had an original thought in my life, and this novel is just proof of it. Normal People by Sally Rooney, it's gonna go under I enjoy being sad as well. I like conversations with friends a little more, so it wouldn't be fair to put it under completes my soul, but I love Marianne and Connell. It was recommended by my mentor, who was also an English teacher, and I read it for the first time in 2019, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since. I love this book with my whole heart. Jack the Ripper. Now, this was a nice girl boss book to read about, especially I read this when I was obsessed with murder and true crime, and I liked it, but it didn't change my life. I don't think I liked it as much as the other books in this row though, so I might put it under mediocre. Yeah, I'm gonna put it under mediocre. It was fun, it was interesting, but it wasn't as great as I would like it to be. They both die at the end. Now, this goes back to my obsession with booktok books before they became booktok books for some reason. I read this when I was 14 as well. I was obsessed with it. I would recommend it to everyone. But now I don't think I would like it if I reread it. So I'm going to put it under mediocre. It was whatever. It was kind of whatever. The Great Gatsby is actually a very popular classical novel. Most people have to read it in high school, but it's recommended pretty often on TikTok. And I wanted to include it because I really liked it. It's going to go under I enjoy being sad. Also, I am a firm, strong believer that Zelda Fitzgerald deserves to be on the cover of that novel and not F. Scott Fitzgerald, because that man plagiarized his wife. Next up, we have The Night Circus. I really liked this book when I read it, but it's also been a couple of years. I think I'm going to put it under I liked it, but it didn't change my life. The aesthetics of that book were really good, but I don't remember anything that happens in it. Next up, we have The Secret History, and no doubt about it, it completes my soul. One of my favorite books of all time. I've recommended it to everyone. I love it so much. It was one of the first novels that I annotated, and it's the reason why I'm taking Latin. To be fair, it's also the reason why everyone in my Latin class is taking Latin, but I love it so much. Next up, we have The Song of Achilles. Everything that needs to be said has been said. I liked it, but it didn't change my life. I am an Achilles hater. Firm, strong Achilles hater. I felt like this book romanticized him a lot, which was interesting to read. Like, I enjoyed it. It's not like a bad thing, but I hate him so much, so it was hard to read that. It was a good book, I will say that. It's written so well. The prose is beautiful. Wilder Girls automatic convinced me that I could be an author, because how did this get published? I started reading this early 2020 before the shutdown, and I was still reading it at the end of the year. It was that bad. It's put me in the biggest reading slump I've ever been in my life. I picked it up because the cover was beautiful and the synopsis seemed interesting, but it was not. It was just horrible. Where the Crawdads Sing is being transformed into a TV show or a movie, I'm not sure, but it's with Daisy Edgar Jones, who I am obsessed with, who played Marianne in Normal People. There's like this whole web of the connections between Taylor Swift and Daisy Edgar Jones and Phoebe Bridgers and Paul Mescal. So much so that I've made my own little, it's not so little, chart of connections. I needed to plug that in. But yes, I thought the book was kind of interesting. I thought it was really predictable. The plot twist at the end that everyone raves about was not that great. I personally saw it coming. It's not as much of a girl boss book as people say it is. I really don't think so, especially given the fact that the author is a horrible person. So I'm gonna put it under mediocre. Yeah, mediocre seems to be the most popular genre here. We Were Liars, no doubt, no regret, no hesitation. I really hated that book. After I read it, I was like, I can write this in a day, and I still stand by that belief. It was just poor writing skills. It was really easy. The plot twist, Again, I don't know why, but a lot of these books rely too heavily on the plot twist. And I really do not understand why. Like, it's just, I'm more of a character development type of gal. Her Body and Other Parties. This is more well-known in a niche group audience on BookTok, but I'm gonna have to put it under I Enjoy Being Sad, because that is true. The Husband Stitch, which is the first short story in this collection, is one of my favorite short stories of all time. It is so good. I love it so much. And I love the author so much so that I read In the Dream House, which is also very popular in a smaller group on TikTok, but I'm gonna have to put it under Completes My Soul. I actually haven't finished reading it yet. I'm sort of in the last like 20-ish pages, but I've annotated it so much. It resides in California, but we've been to Mexico and back together, and I'm just so sad about almost being done with it because I don't want us to part. I love this book a lot. I already know it's like going to be one of my favorite books of all time. So that's why it's under Completes My Soul. Circe. So I've also heard people say Circe. I don't know which one it is, but it's gonna be under Please Don't Crucify Me. And not for the same reasons as the other books that are under that row. It's because I read it, like I read all of it, but I don't remember anything. Sometimes when people talk about Circe, I'm like, yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. I have no recollection of what happened in this novel, and I feel so horrible. I probably would have enjoyed it more if I remembered, but that's where I am right now. Catcher in the Rye is also another common classics novel, kind of like The Great Gatsby. Most people read it in high school. I'm gonna have to put it under I Enjoy Being Sad. Being sad all the time. I read it 14 times in the same month when I was very young. That's all you need to know. The Idiot by Leif Butman, also much like Carmen Maria Machado's books, it's very popular among a smaller audience and automatically completes my soul. I don't even know what to say. It's just so good. It's so good that I have no words. I got an ARC copy of Either Or, which is the sequel to this novel, which is kind of weird because I don't think the novel needs a sequel, but I do want it. But it was an ebook version, so I didn't get around to reading it. But the book came out 2 days ago, and I've already bought a copy. It's sitting over there. It's pretty and yellow, and the cover designs are so beautiful. Whoever designed that deserves a raise. Last but not least, we have Legend by Mary Lou. This book has been around for a very long time, so it's not surprising that it's popular on BookTok too. The first time I read it, I was so confused. It was also the only time I read it because I never want to live through that again. I read it in one sitting. After that, I was like, yeah, I could write a book. It is easy. It is easy. If that's how much money you're gonna make, that is so easy. I know the author was really young when they wrote it, but I really hated that book. And I still stand by that to this day. So there you have it. Here is my tier ranking of BookTok books. I hope you enjoyed this. As you can see, mediocre is the most popular ranking here, and I Enjoy Being Sad, which are both very true. I hope that you enjoyed this journey with me. It was nice to see you. Thank you for joining me in this corner of the internet, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.